Hey, what is up? So for this video, I wanted to take a look at the question of whether or not Nacho Varga will survive to see the end of season 6 of Better Call Saul. So recently, a photo was posted to the Better Call Saul Twitter page of Nacho Varga with the caption, "See, Nacho's fine, probably." And what makes the fate of the character Nacho so interesting to me is that it's pretty much completely open-ended. Now, before we get into it here, I just want to point out that these are just my own opinions here in this video, and that we have absolutely nothing concrete to draw on in respect to the ultimate fate of Nacho, who, unlike Lalo Salamanca, his conclusion has not already apparently been determined by the canon mentioned in the plot of Breaking Bad.
Now, the Salamanca name dies with you.
And actually, the only even possible clue that we have regarding Nacho's fate here is again Saul Goodman's infamous and notorious piece of dialogue that I have mentioned again and again from the plot of season 2 of Breaking Bad in the episode entitled Better Call Saul.
Oh, no. No, it wasn't me, it was Ignacio. He's the one. Oh, no. Ay, siempre soy amigo. Siempre soy amigo del cartel. Shut up. I just speak English. Lalo didn't send you? No, Lalo?
Who?
Oh, thank God. Oh, Christ. Oh, I thought...
But it should be noted that my reading of Saul's dialogue here in this scene is that it would be possible that Nacho was alive or dead, and this dialogue would still make sense and not be contradicted. As Saul could be meaning here in this scene that Nacho is the one you want and he is dead already, so don't kill me, or Nacho is the one you want and he's still alive, go get him and don't kill me. Both are technically possible based on this canon from Breaking Bad. Now, with that pretty much being all we have to draw on in respect to this question of Nacho's ultimate fate, I have to say that right now, at this very moment, as of the making of this video, my gut feeling is that Nacho is going to survive to see the end of this series. And my reasoning for this feeling comes from me basically seeing Nacho Varga as the Jesse Pinkman equivalent in this series, who is the character who suffered so much over the course of this show, with Nacho getting shot and left to die, for example, as part of Gus Fring's long con against the cartel in season 4 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Something Beautiful, on top of the countless amount of emotional trauma that Nacho has sufferred over the course of this series, such as the constant fear he has to live with surrounding Gus killing his father, which will now also pale in comparison to whatever he goes through next season on top of what he has already gone through so far. So in my opinion, I think it may come across as too damn dark if, following all of this character development of Nacho Varga, which included all of this physical and emotional trauma over the course of this series, we then see him, when all is said and done, killed off in the end after all of this. And so, in a way that seems to parallel Jesse Pinkman, who in many ways experienced the same or very similar over the course of Breaking Bad, of having to deal with the death of Jane, and then seeing his former girlfriend Andrea killed, and then finally, basically after all of this, becoming a meth cook slave for several months at the end of the series. Given all of that, and that comparison, I think we may see the creators have Nacho ride off into the sunset like Jesse Pinkman did as well. But then again, I could be totally wrong here, and it should be pointed out that I was totally wrong in thinking that Jesse Pinkman would die at the end of Breaking Bad. So if you're a betting man, maybe you should fade me here, and maybe Nacho will die next season because I think he will survive. That being said, in respect to these two characters, I have to say that going back to how I felt about Jesse Pinkman prior to the conclusion of Breaking Bad, I have to say that I definitely respect and feel that Nacho is a bit more redeeming and deserving of this happy ending, especially more than Jesse did. But at the end of the day, that is definitely a much longer conversation that I will have to cover at some point in time when I eventually get to reviewing the Breaking Bad movie El Camino. Spoiler alert, I wasn't the biggest fan and don't necessarily agree with how the creators portray Jesse Pinkman as a redeeming figure. As everything I just said about the reasoning and deservingness of Jesse's survival and redemption is more me just explaining the creator's interpretation of his character being redeemable and not so much mine. But nonetheless, going back to Nacho Varga here, Nacho's character is incredibly complex and nuanced at the end of the day. And to me, he seems like a man who came from very humble beginnings and for reasons currently unknown got involved with the cartel, despite the fact that he knew this would deeply upset his father, who would not want and did not want for Nacho to provide for him and acquire wealth via these illicit means, being a straight arrow, to use Nacho's word. And again, while at this point in time we don't know, and we can only speculate why Nacho ultimately made his decision and decided to get involved in the game, irrespective of why Nacho did this, as Mike Ehrmantraut notably said in Season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Bad Choice Road, we all make our choices, and those choices put us on a road.
We all make our choices. And those choices, they put us on a road. Sometimes those choices seem small, but they put you on the road. You think about getting off, but eventually you're back on it.
And now Nacho has to live with the consequences of these choices, and as Mike Ehrmantraut also said here in this speech, nothing can be done about that now.
The road we're on led us out to the desert and everything that happened there and straight back to where we are right now. And nothing can be done about that.
So yeah, when all is said and done here, while I do think that Nacho will survive, I of course have no idea what form the survival will undertake on screen next season, and what additional pain and suffering is in store for Nacho along the way, which may potentially include the horrible emotional pain and trauma of the death of his father, speculating here of course. But at the same time, I wonder if maybe this ending of survival is maybe too obvious here for Nacho, and may even parallel Jesse Pinkman's story a little too much, and will thus maybe come across as a tad bit redundant in the universe of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. But again, if Nacho does survive, I'm sure it will be done right by the creators in order to avoid this potential redundancy and not identically mirror or parallel Jesse Pinkman's story of survival. All that being said, can't wait to see how all this unfolds next season. Alright, that is all I really got for you guys on this one. Curious to see what you think in respect to Nacho next season. And while I do think that the overwhelming majority of the audience of Better Call Saul roots for Nacho and hopes he makes it, I do wonder, however, what they think of Nacho's decision to enter the cartel in the first place, especially with him having to have known that this decision could eventually impact the safety and well-being of his father. So let me know what you think about this in the comments section. And as always, my name is Anton Jackson. Thank you again so much for watching this video.